Oh, oh, oh. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvanavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Harihi Om. And a very good morning to all of you who have joined this session today. Today, we have taken this topic of strengthening the immune system. So, right now, in the past, in fact, in the past 2-3 years, what we have seen is that nothing had prepared us in order to face something like a lethal virus, that would come in such a form that we were all taken by surprise, shock, whatever we would say. We were not prepared for it in such a way that even countries all over the world, they were taken by shock, and they were not prepared even in terms of equipping their nation, their people with the right kind of a what would you say, with the right kind of immune system, right? We were not even having the right kind of a vaccine in place in order to combat this, right? So here is this kind of a situation that took everyone by storm. And then as a result, of course, everyone, all nations, all scientists, all medical forces came to action, and brought in various solutions to try and combat this virus which came in. But then this brought about an inquiry into how can we equip ourselves, and what is the right amount of preparation in order to combat such surprises in not just our individual lives, but the world at large, right? So one would say that, of course, how do we prepare ourselves, right? If we say that in terms of an external environment, there are so many factors that go into bringing such kind of seen storms in our lives, right? Be it something like these kind of medical difficulties, or be it something like that comes about in the environment, such as storms, such as the kind of typhoons, or such as the kind of mm, say droughts sometimes also, right? The kind of situations that we face sometimes are totally out of our control, right? So here, when we chant, right, Om Shahanavatu, right, and at the end of it we are also chanting Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are saying 3 times Shanti, right? And we are saying these in terms of what, towards what. So these are in terms of the Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, and Adi Daivik, right? These forces, right? One is the Adi Bhautik, those that come about through the environment, the kind of difficulties that we face in our own, environment, those that come from external situations, those that come from the people around us, those that come from, you know, uh, unforeseen situations, basically, right? The disturbances that they cause, or the dis-ease that they cause, those are called the Adi Bhautik, right? And so to the Adi Daivik, those that are, not coming maybe from the known sources, right? The known sources are Adi Bhautik, but those that come from unknown sources, such as we said, whatever that calamities that come about from the environment, right? Which are completely out of our hands, right? Those that we cannot prepare ourselves, cannot shield ourselves from, those are called the Adi Daivik forces, right? And then there are the disturbances that come from within, as in from my own thinking, from my own earlier experiences that have caused a certain pattern in my thinking, certain habitual way of encountering situations that cause disturbances within me, right? So these are the adhyatmic, those that are at my personal inner level, individual level, which have a different flavor in my thinking and my response to various situations, various people, various objects. Those are coming under the sphere of the adhyatmic, right? So how do I equip myself is the question, right? Because be it my health or be it my mental health, right? How do I equip myself in order to face whatever situations or whatever circumstances that are thrown at me? Okay, so that is our topic for today, right? So when we say that, external factors, so when it comes to, right, like health and hygiene, what is it that we do normally to equip ourselves? We decide that, so and so is the health regulations given by the health authorities, right? Known health authorities, popular health authorities, such as the UN, etc. They have brought about certain guidelines, and then we follow those. We say that, okay, wherever I go, I should wear a mask. Wherever, possible, if I'm coming in contact through my hand, if I'm touching surfaces, what should I do? I should say that, I should minimize the contact with other things and beings. And therefore, what do? I also use some hand sanitizers, or I clean myself from time to time, right? And I reduce the contact with the environment outside of me, right? But yet, what happens, or rather what we saw happened, was that no matter how much we try to caution, no matter how much we try to follow regulations, without, it is totally without, outside of our own sphere of action, and we are unable to then counter such situations, right? Then again, you know then we say that, why did this happen? I took all the precautions, I even took the vaccine. Why did it then, why is it that then that I suffered, right? So this brings us to the realization that I haven't been equipping my immune system from earlier times. Had I took whatever temporary measures that came to me, whatever guidelines I followed now, but earlier maybe I had not taken those kind of factors into consideration of equipping my body equipment, equipping myself to face whatever viruses, whatever attacks that are happening through these germs. I was not equipped earlier on. I had not prepared myself earlier on, or I had not created that shield of protection around me from within my system earlier on. And therefore, I was, I was subjected this to this kind of a suffering, right? So what then comes as a caution, or what then comes as the wisdom from it, is that yes, if I do take care of my health day to day, in my day to day life, if I am cautious, if I equip myself with the right kind of intake in terms of food, the right kind of supplements in terms of vitamins, whatever is required for it as per my age, so too whatever is required in terms of exercise, right? Yoga, be it physical exercise in terms of walking, etc. Or no matter how I try to equip myself in terms of the right intake at the right time, in the right kind of a discipline in terms of my sleep cycle, in terms of my activity groups, so that I make the external factors viable for me no matter what the situation, right? So this comes, this kind of a regime I put in when I have gone through the examinations of life and understood that yes, there can be different situations, and therefore to manage this body equipment, I should take the utmost care from time to time. So now what do I do? Now I adhere to that discipline and continue on with it, right? Then I don't have to take so many supplements momentarily, but I have to take care daily, right? So I have to be consistent in my practices of health and hygiene and equip my immune system in the right way. Now, but this you would say that this is in terms of just physical health. What about, the kind of situations that I go through? There are so much disturbances at mind level, at the kind of, the kind of circumstances that come up. I had never really thought of them, be it within my family, be it at my workplace, be it, the community that I live in. Daily, some or the other situation is coming up and causing some kind of disturbance for me. How then do I equip myself, right? So here too, the same logic applies, right? One is that I will shield myself in terms of the external environment. I will not bring myself into this kind of a kind of, this person. Yeah. So I will not bring myself into such situations where it will trigger my weak points, right? What are the weak points? As such, when we observe ourselves, we will see that there are certain situations which come into my life every time. Daily I face those kind of situations, and I also know how I respond, or rather how I react to those situations. Be it even with my own relations, there might be situations where I know that this person is going to trigger this kind of a weakness in me, where I will respond with anger, or I will respond with some kind of envy or some kind of jealousy, or it is definitely going to cause some kind of a agitation within me, which is going to take my mind from ease to disease. How do I equip myself in such kind of situations? What do I do then? Right? So the similar, what we take, what kind of precautions or what kind of discipline we bring ourselves into in the for the physical health, the same kind of a discipline we have to bring about for our mental health as well, right? So how do I build this? what is the kind of system that I bring about into my mental thinking, so that my mind does not get disturbed, so that my mind is not agitated, so that it does not move from its normal situation or normal nature of ease, of calm, of peace, into a disturbed kind of a nature. So the mind, right? What is the mind? The mind is just a flow of thoughts, and these thoughts, if they are regulated, if they are moving at a slow pace, and I focus on certain ones where my priority lies, then it is not going to cause any kind of disturbance, be it an elation. We have situations when there is so much joy, there is so much excitement. It causes me to also, it causes me to also go high and low in terms of my emotions, right? So this elation or this sorrow, right, that I experience throughout life's various situations, these I can control. How can I control? By keeping my mind trained in the way I respond to situations, or rather, developing an attitude of acceptance. Attitude of acceptance? Yes, the situation has come, right? Do I have to get excited and jump about if it has given me joy, or do I have to go into the throes of depression if it has brought me sorrow? No, the situation comes with its set of actions to be done, its set of duties to be performed, and all I have to do is align with those according to my goal and fulfill whatever my role is, right? What about the emotions? The emotions are those of the mind, right? But if I build the right kind of immunity, these situations are not going to throw me into depression, nor are they going to throw me into heights of joy, right? Why? Then how will I experience happiness? Yes. Well, the happiness that we look for, as Vedanta says, is within. It is not that, I need to look for that happiness outside or in the external world. But what I have to do is, I have to know that the true happiness lies within me. It is my nature, right? And it is this ignorance about my own nature which is causing the disturbance within me, right? So this correction in my thinking, right, how does it have to happen? This correction in my thinking has to be understood through the study of Vedanta, right? So the Vedanta is doing what? It is just equipping me with the right kind of vision or right kind of perspective of looking at my life and my purpose in this life, right? What is it which is my true end, true nature? What is it that is my true identity? Right now, I have taken it to be something which is other than me. And therefore, what do I do? Therefore, I look for that happiness in things other than me, right? Things and beings and places which are other than me. Whereas Vedanta tells me what? Vedanta tells me that my nature is Sat Chit Ananda, that which ever is, Nitya. It ever is, it is eternal, that was never born and that is never going to die. So there is no fear of I am never going to be. I ever am, I ever was, I ever will be. So there is no limitedness in that, right? Right. So that is the Sat aspect of it. Chit, whereas in my life, in my interactions with the world, I am ever insecure. Insecure of what? That I am going to lose out on experience. I am not going to have the right knowledge about everything in the world. Okay. That I don't know it, right? Whereas Vedanta is telling me that my nature itself is this consciousness, chit, that chit which is of the nature of knowledge. Therefore, do I need to gain any further, gain any further knowledge? No, I need not gain any further knowledge, right? I just have to abide in the knowledge of the self, right? Because I am unaware of this identity of myself, which is consciousness itself. Therefore, what do I have to do? I have to struggle with this I don't know aspect, right? So, when the problem is that of ignorance, what is the solution? The solution is knowledge itself, right? Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. When there is darkness, all I have to do is bring the light over there. And with that light, then there is not going to be any darkness, because darkness is but the absence of light. So when I am in ignorance, what do I have to do? All I have to do is gain that knowledge, right? And here it is knowledge about myself itself, right? Having known which, everything will be known, right? So that is the chit aspect. Then what is the third factor is ananda. This ananda or joy that I seek, right? In the world, when I seek it, it is always going to be temporary, as it is said in the Vedas. What is said? That this ananda that we experience, even if I put together, even if we put together the ananda or the happiness of all beings known, right? From Brahmaji, who is the creator, to the smallest, smallest blade of grass. If I put their happiness together, what will amount to the collective happiness is but a drop of the joy or the bliss or the happiness or the infinitude of the self. And that self is what? That self is me alone, right? So having known this, then what is there to indulge in the temporary kind of happiness that we experience in the world? Then I need not uh, look for joy outside, but all that I do, all my actions then will stem from that inner happiness itself. Then I need not work for happiness, but I work from happiness, right? And that kind of joy is just what is inspired living that we see in great Mahatmas who have benefited the world just by their mere presence, right? So just imagine if we own up to this happiness, right? Then then there is no limitedness. Then I just am that ananta ananda, right? So what is it that we have to do? We have to just know this nature, that ignorance that I have about myself, right? But due to which, what have I done? I have thought of myself as this limited equipment of this person, this individuality, who has a certain height, who has a certain form, who is of a certain gender, who is of a certain intelligence, you know uh, these kind of brackets we put ourselves into in the world, right? But if I know my identity as that of Satchit Ananda, right, which are not properties which will fade off, right? Because all that I have, right, be it my physical body, be it my mental prowess, all this is what? These are just temporary. They are here now, they will be gone tomorrow, right? Whereas this Nitya Ananda that I wish to experience is my nature, right? Only that I have not corrected my thinking. I have to just correct my thinking and tune into that as my nature, right? So first thing is what? is my goal fixed? Okay, so first thing in order to gain that immunity is what? That I have to fix my goal. Fix my goal as what? That I am this Brahman, I am this infinite, and all I have to do is I have to know myself in the right manner, right? And that is going to be the goal that I have chosen for myself, that I go back to being myself. Right now, I have identified with this limited. Now I have to change my thinking pattern, change my mind to align it to that higher, right? Of course, you will say that, oh, but we have already done that. We have, enrolled in the Shiv courses, we are attending some satsangs, etc. Fine. But am I persistent, consistent in this goal of attaining this goal? Or have I just said, okay, like some of the entertainments that we take up, this is also one entertainment. I will do it every Sunday, or I will, go for 1 or 2 camps. No, what we need to do is be consistent and persistent in our efforts. So just as for physical immunity, right? If I am going to have a lapse for a certain time, I'll say that no, now I'm going for a holiday on a cruise ship. So I will have the best of food. I will just indulge myself for just 10 days. What is going to happen? Nothing is going to change. Yes, nothing is going to change. What is going to change is that I will bring in this kind of a habit in terms of that comfort, that I'm so-called comfort, that I am habituating my mind into. And once the mind has got this taste, the senses have got this taste, they will not let go of it, right? So just as sports people, those athlete, right, or even the soldiers on the borders, right, those, they have to be consistent in performing their duty, in playing that role of that athlete. They have to have that discipline for it, right? And they cannot take that lapse from time to time. So too it is with this adhyatmic equipment, right? I have to equip myself, empower myself with this knowledge of adhyatma, spiritual studies, towards my goal, right? And that will happen when I have fixed my goal. I know that I have to, I have to attain this goal, and I am going to be consistently on this one track alone, right? Remaining things, yeah, life will go on as it is, right? But this one thing, this one duty that I have towards myself as a seeker, I will be consistent in it, right? This, when I decide for myself, this resolve, when I take, not just as a new year resolution, okay, but this resolve that I take for life, if I'm consistent in it, then definitely I am not going to, I'm not going to fall from that pursuit. I will follow it, right? Then further, what is there? Further, what is there is that a beautiful fourfold path is, you know, given, prescribed by the Vedas for us. First part of it is karma yoga. Already we are performing actions, you will say. Now what is this? So this karma yoga is that which is going to equip me to gain purity of mind, right? Purity of mind, or rather it is going to bring me that chitta shuddhi. That chitta shuddhi is essential. Why is it essential? Because unless, just as, in the physical health, unless I am going to bring in the right kind of hygiene for myself, shaucha, right? And unless I am taking the right intake, right, and performing the right kind of discipline for my body, I am not going to attain my health goal. So too, towards my spiritual goal, if I am not consistent in my daily discipline or dinacharya, to be followed, then I am going to have various falls, right? So this karma yoga, what does it do? It brings in one the discipline of offering my actions to the Lord, to the higher, to that higher power that I have great Shraddha in, right? And that Shraddha is going to give me great mileage ahead, okay? So I have to work on that Shraddha. And this Karma Yoga, what is it going to bring? It is going to bring detachment. So this mind that is right now performing action, when it is no longer attached to that action, no longer attached to whatever I'm going to attain as a result of that action, then what is going to happen? Then I will, I will give my 100%. When I have decided that I am surrendering all the action as well as the outcome of that action to the Lord, right? And then this brings what? This brings the prasada buddhi in me. It kind of ignites this kind of acceptance in me, ki whatever has come to me, the situation that has come, I have to act on it as per the right knowledge I am equipped with. Mm. And whatever will happen as a result, yes, that I surrender to the Lord, and the Lord will take care of it, right? So half the burden is gone, right? Then I no longer have to worry or work with agitation, but be in a equipoise, be in that equilibrium, be in that balanced kind of a form of uh, pursuing whatever is the action that I have to follow, right? So that is what is done by this karma yoga. It brings in that chitta shuddhi by which I can further my evolution in the spiritual path, right? Then is what? Then is the bhakti yoga. What does bhakti yoga do? Bhakti devotion. And this devotion is towards what? Right now, as we said, karma yoga is also about detachment. This devotion is also much more towards detachment. How? Right? So this devotion is saying that this Shraddha that I have in the Lord, I surrender to it completely. I rely on the God, on the Lord of my heart, rather than relying on my emotional dependence on people, on places, on situations, on gadgets. I say, okay, this is my altar, and that altar I am surrendering to, and that altar is the only one that I bow down to, and I pray in such a way that I am able to perform my duties without any kind of attachment or any kind of emotional pull towards the world, but I build, or rather I bank on that bhava, that devotion towards that one altar, and be surrendered with that, right? So that is bhakti yoga. So how do I go about that? Just building that shraddha which comes out of knowledge. It is not just a blind surrender, right? It is not just a blind belief, but a conviction that I have, which has come through the knowledge itself, right? So that is bhakti yoga. Then we have the Raja Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. What do these say? These, right? The yogas or the asanas or the physical discipline that I imbibe within me, these are what? To equip my faculties of body, of the senses, of the mind, so that they don't keep moving about externally, so that I am able to sit quietly, right, without my equipment or my instrument pulling me here and there, so that when it comes to being single pointedly focused in dhyana towards that higher, I am not distracted, I am just focused in my pursuit, right? So Bhakti Yoga also brings in that Chitta Ekagrata, right? Which is further, which is, or rather, which is built on my, my single pointedness in my body equipment also, in my body and mind equipment also, right? So that is the Ashtanga Yoga. Then what? Of course, inherently, I have to also start the Jnana Yoga. Without Jnana Yoga, all these others are not going to help me, right? Unless I know what is my goal, right? Or unless I know the purpose of, you know, my own nature or my own this body equipment. Why am I in the world? Have I inquired in the right way? Or how much have I pursued this path, right? So till I gain the right identity of myself and centered on that real I, till I don't start functioning, my Vedanta Shravana is not complete, right? This correction in my identity is going to show me results, right? And this is going to allow me to transcend my mind even, right? So these fourfold path is prescribed to us by the Vedas, right? And then this fourfold path is also that which is going to take me forward even in my journey, right? But then when we say these four, do we say that we first do karma, then we do bhakti, then we do raja, then we do jnana? No, these are to be practiced parallelly, right? We have gone lifetimes, thousands and thousands of lifetimes, which where we have identified with this body mind equipment. This deha buddhi is so strong within us that, just short spurts of practices is not going to bring us result, but we have to be at it consistently, right? And these have to be done parallelly, right? And only one who does it with the equipped or educated intellect mind is going to follow the remaining practices. Without jnana, my karma yoga or my bhakti yoga or my raja yoga are not going to be effective, right? So therefore, the jnana is essential and the other parts are supplementary to it, right? I might I might be following one particular pathway, but that doesn't mean that that pathway is going to lead me to it. Jnana yoga is that main highway which is going to get me to that destination. The others, yes, they will join in, right, and supplement my journey, right, or supplement my mileage to reach that destination, right? And then further, what is going to, going back to our topic about immunity, right? What is that which is going to form my protective shield? So the 5-point program, one we said is Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is acceptance of all situations, right? All situations, all that I do, I offer it with I accept it with a prasada buddhi, and I do my actions how? With a Ishvara Arpana buddhi. I offer it to the higher altar, right? And I have great shraddha in that higher altar, right? And how do I supplement that? With upasana. So upasana, how do I do? Do I have to do big yajna yagas? Do I have to do agnihotri, etc.? No, I can just simply do a daily puja when I wake up, right? Daily as a practice, I can have a altar, right? The altar where I place my Ishta, the one that I bow down to, the one that I identify with, right? So I take that Bhagwan, place this Vigraha in my altar, and daily what do? Right? Simple things, simple offerings of flowers, of deep, of some some nice essence or nice agarbatti or incense sticks that I light, or and more importantly, putting a diya, lighting a diya daily and bowing down before that altar, offering my devotion. That bhava is more important in in the practice that I do. In that, it is not that I have to do huge big rituals. No, not necessary. But I begin small by daily making an offering to that Bhagwan. Okay? Of course, from time to time, if I take to Tirtha Yatras, right? If it is possible for me, if I can travel, if I can visit the abode of the Lord in different places, then yes, I should do that. You would say that, oh, then are you saying that Bhagwan is only residing in those temples? No, it is not that, but it brings about a total different shift in my thinking when I am going to such places where hundreds of other devotees go with that bhava and surrender to that Lord. It brings about a total different energy in us, right? So from time to time, taking to a tirtha is also beautiful, is also equipping us, right? And besides that, what is there? There is also, you know, the um strengthening or increasing that conviction within me through that upasana. So what does upasana bring? It brings that single pointed focus or devotion to the Lord. And of course, this has to be strengthened with what? With Shravana and Manana. That consistent listening, to the right thoughts, to have that satsang, not just with books or not just with my iPad or listen to YouTube talks, but as much as possible, if I'm able to do some kind of group study, if I'm able to listen to satsangs and participate in them, right? Or not just that, but also from time to time, bringing that satsang within my own thoughts. That manana is also as much essential. It is not that I listen and then I tune off. No, if I am consistent in re-bringing those thoughts back to myself, right? In clearing whatever doubts that will come about, only when I focus on those teachings, on those learnings, will there be some kind of doubts that will come, and then clarifying those doubts. So in when I have bring my mind to such kind of an inquiry, only then it is going to bring about effectiveness to that shravana that has been done, right? And then further what will happen once these four have been put in place in the right manner, then that nididhyasana or that immersion in that knowledge that I have gained becomes simple and easy, right? Then it just becomes sahaja. Then I have to not struggle and sit in meditation. Initially what happens with our practices, we try to sit quietly, we are disturbed either by the body. So what is prescribed to us? If my body is disturbing me, then I take to Ashtanga yoga. What do? I follow certain asanas, etc., to correct my posture, to not be disturbed by my feet, etc., right? And then what do I do once my body is quietened, right? Through dhamma, right? Then I follow the discipline, more importantly, of shama, where I try to quieten my mind so that I am focused only in that one direction, one thought of the Lord of my heart, of that Supreme. And that Supreme is that self which I want to abide in, right? So that is going to happen. That kind of nididhyasana is going to happen effectively if I have done the previous four correctly, which is what? Karma Yoga, Upasana, Shravana, Manana, right? Through Manana, when I gain clarity in the knowledge, when I have that right conviction, then that nididhyasana happens easily, right? Then the dhyana, sitting in meditation, is just a fruit of that knowledge itself, right? Then how is it? like for the Jivan Mukta, where yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadhaya, right? So just the great Mahatmas such as Swami Taponji Maharaj, wherever he saw that divine alone. There was no doubt in his mind for that. There was that oneness alone, right? He didn't have to sit particularly in meditation or doing japa and saying aham brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi. No, for him, wherever he saw that oneness alone, he saw that divinity alone, and there was no kind of a disturbance, right? So right now, what are we ailing? We are ailing with that agitated mind, and that agitated mind is happening. Why? Because we have induced a foreign body in it. How is that foreign body coming about? Because of the desires from the vasanas that are within me, those desires that get triggered by the external environment or the external situations that I am in. These desires further trigger what? The Shadripus. The Shadripus, what are the Shadripus? The Shadripus are, what is it? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. So these are going to cause that dis-ease in me. And what therefore I have to do? I have to work at building such an immune system within me, which is not going to cause this kind of disease. And for that, what do I have to do? I have to follow this 5-point program of Karma Yoga, Upasana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, consistently, persistently towards that goal of attaining that supreme, of abiding in that supreme, which is but a thought away. But right now, my thoughts are so scattered, right? Therefore, I am not able to focus in them, right? So, for that, what is important? Just as for the physical immunity, I have to start working at the root, right? I have to bring in such practices that is going to make the healthy living as a habit, as a pattern, as a discipline for me. So too for my adhyatmic goal, which is of the highest priority, right? What is important? That I follow these practices, follow the discipline, and don't procrastinate on them. Right now, if I say that, oh, once the new year starts, from 1st of January, I will wake up early, I will do yoga, I will go for a long walks, and I will eat healthy, and then I will bring my sugar back in control, then I will keep to my work consistently. No, let's not wait for 1st of January. Let's start now towards that healthy immunity for fighting all situations. Then the health part will just become part of it, right? Once you have the big in mind, the big goal is what? The big goal is that Brahman. And that Brahman is who? That Brahman is me alone. This Atma, this Jiva Atma is nothing but that Brahman. And what is our struggle? Our struggle is that right now we are struggling, but what should we do? We should bring in that consistency or that abhyasa in us, so that that goal of being that Brahman is not somewhere far, it is just one thought away, right? And that will come once we have ease in our living. We are no longer struggling. So what do? We start like how Gurudev said. Gurudev says, just follow this practice of what? Observing ourselves, observing our thoughts. And how do we do that? Introspect daily. Introspect daily on what? On the knowledge that we have attained, on that which I have done, Shravana, on the whatever satsangs we are doing, right? We should bring them into our thinking. Then what? Then detect diligently. Detect what diligently? What are the faults in my personality? What is it that is keeping me away from that ease of mind, right? Those I have to note down. Observe in myself, detect them, note them down. Then what? Then negate them ruthlessly. negate them, don't bring in that kind of pattern in my thinking again. I have noticed that pattern. This is my weakness. Now let me remove that weakness. It is only the foreign body which has come into my system which is causing that disturbance. So what do I have to do? I have to remove that, from my system. So that kind of faults in my thinking, I can negate ruthlessly. But so that this mind is having something to hold on to, what do I have to do? I have to substitute wisely. Substitute wisely with what? With nobler thoughts, with wiser thoughts, with the learnings that I have gained, the values that I have been enriched with, right? Dedicating them to the higher, right? I should substitute those in my thinking. And then what? Then nothing. Then everything becomes simple and easy. Then I have to just grow in my thinking in single pointedly moving towards that goal of happiness, right? Of being that happiness, so that living is just happy alone, right? So this was our satsang for today, the sadhana that we will take up in this year ahead, right? And towards that, I would say that, SIF also presents various opportunities. We have the various courses which are given. So even if we are not able to go for physical satsang somewhere, we are bringing this to your own doorstep, right? Do take advantage of whatever courses are being offered, be it, chanting such as that of Bhagavatam, right? Or be it chanting, or be it swadhyaya of various Upanishads, of various Prakran Granthas. We are bringing these kind of different, courses or webinars to you, and all you have to do is tune into those, right? So do keep in touch with us. If there's any particular query that you have, do write to us. Our home study courses department is always open to receive queries, to cater to everyone, right? We will soon be starting also one, I will be starting one webinar on Upadesha Sara, right? And so too others are there in this coming year. Many different plans are open. We also have a beautiful forum of Shravana Mangalam where you can listen to various discourses even, right? And towards that, we will listen to Gurudev's one video clip, and then we will close today's session. Just please hold on till then. One second.
Yatandaha, putting forth the effort. Just because you have heard this from me, it doesn't mean that you have reached there. You have to put forth the effort of living those 20 values of life and purifying the mind and intellect and fit it for contemplation, and through that mind contemplate. Detach yourself from the ego and egocentric selfishness and act on in the world outside and remove the vasanas. Quieten the mind. And with that mind, strive on to contemplate upon him. The various arrow marks have been given in the 13th chapter. Thus, those who are putting forth the necessary effort to reach out, they really do reach. Arjuna, don't think that there are very few who reach there. It's only because they are not putting forth the effort, or they are not purified their mind. Yatando api, even though there are very many people who put forth honest effort, sincerely they are spiritual, and they are really putting forth the effort, rejected all the joys of this world. They won't even take an ice cream, because I am a yogi. I can't take ice cream. Rejecting every pleasure in the world, They are striving, and yet they do not reach. Hundreds of cases you can see. In your own house, your grandfather or your uncle, who is a very good spiritual student, striving, and yet that unfoldment does not come. That joyous state doesn't reach. He doesn't bring out the divine shine in his life. He is still growled in his own selfishness and ego. There is no spiritual beauty about him. Why is it so? Ahridatmana. One who has not kritam integrated. Atmanam, there is own mind and intellect. He has not integrated the mind and intellect. The mind and intellect is still divided. A split personality. The intellect has got ideas, but the mind is not cooperating to execute them. The mind and intellect are not wedded, but they have divorced. The divorce has arisen because of a cause. The cause is still desires in you. Therefore the mind is running with the body into the sense world. The intellect has got wonderful vision of the spirituality as you sit for contemplation. But the mind drags, your own mind drags you down. Because of sense desires, pleasures, or the sense world enchants you. Why is it so? The sensuous vasanas have not been eliminated. One who has through bhakti and karma have not yet eliminated the vasanas to a large extent, and who has thus reduced the eruption of desires in your intellect, cannot bring the mind and intellect together. Contemplation is not the function of the intellect. It is not merely the function of the emotion, but it is on the wings of the head and the heart the individual glides into the higher state. Those who are akritatmana, those who have not purified themselves. Meaning, the fifth verse, nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta. These five conditions, those who have not created in themselves, you may put forth all your effort will come. Because the equipment is not fit for it.
Hari Om. So we'll close today's session here only. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Wishing all of you a very happy new year to come, and we'll meet again in various ways through this forum. Yeah. Thank you. Hari Om. Yes, it is.